Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ground and Pound podcast, the show where, as always, we're hitting you with them elbows of knowledge. And you know, we're always here to give you that full card recap for UFC Fight Night Burns taking on Morales. And I am joined by my co-host, Carlos. What's happening, Carlos?
Absolutely nothing, brother.
And we're going to start things off in the prelims, head all the way to the main event, giving you our analysis and talk a little bit about the event. And kicking things off, we had Tisha Pennington getting the victory over Luana Pinheiro, and this one was pretty much cut and dry, ladies and gentlemen. One of the only decisions on the card. To be honest with you, this one went exactly how Carlos and I said. Pennington was able to keep the fight at range. She opened up with a nice head kick in the first round that really got her opponent's attention, and this one was exactly how we said in the full card breakdown. Pennington was able to obviously stuff most of the takedowns in this fight and ultimately get the decision victory. And as you can see, my boy Chris Tione made a special appearance for this one, kicking things off in the prelims. And I got to say, I'm pretty happy with the judges and the referees this week, so you're not going to hear me complain too much about them. But I got a little bit of bitching later on to do in the co-main event, but Pennington was able to get it done. Hats off to her, pretty much cut and dry, like we said, keeping the fight at range and outstriking her with the volume. Carlos, what did you think of the matchup? How did you think of the performance went for her?
Oh, I thought you did exactly what we said, and that's just how she fights. So it wasn't really hard to pick that apart. But Pinheiro, the one thing about her strategy, I mean, it was great, is that she was trying to time her on the way in. The problem is she didn't have any particular way to actually time it. Like if when someone's coming forward and you just throw a haymaker, uh, the chances of you landing are very low. You have to throw something straighter than that. So, that's probably the one flaw in her game plan. And the other thing is, if she's going to jump in like that, you might want to throw a leg kick to stop her in place before you throw like a straight loop, or I mean, a looping right hand. Because if you're not going to throw something straight with your hands, you got to have to slow her down before she gets inside. And, something that maybe she can use on her next camp with someone that's a big mover.
Yeah, for sure. My only real criticism of Pennington here was in the third round. I thought that the second round was a little bit closer, definitely Pennington in round one, but my criticism here was in the third. She got into the clinch, and Pinheiro was able to take her down and use her judo. And I did think as well that there was that moment in the first round where Pennington got dropped. I wasn't sure, and they didn't really show us a replay, but I wasn't sure if she got dropped by a left hand or whether she slipped or not. The commentary team said that it landed with a left hand, but I was a little bit worried that they were going to kind of give her round one, and then she was going to get in the clinch in round three and ultimately throw away a decision that she should have won easily. But ultimately, 29-28, she got the job done. And good job, Chris Tione, for not fucking things up this week, you schmuck. And next up, we had Hyun Sung Park. He was getting the submission on Carlos Hernandez. And I got to say, I was impressed with Park. When I did tape study, I know Carlos said on the full card breakdown he wasn't able to see a whole lot of footage of Park. Park's impressed me. I don't necessarily think he's going to be, a top 15 guy or anything like that, but he is very well-rounded. His striking's nice. Ripped to the body on Hernandez, was able to land some nice knees. You could see one knee really hurt Hernandez. He kind of gave that kind of like shudder, when it hit him, you could tell. Nice knees in the clinch, was able to take the back, get the takedown, ultimately find the rear naked choke. I was impressed with him. I think that he's going to not necessarily be a problem, but he's just nicely well-rounded on the ground, on the feet. And even the commentary team said what I said about him on the breakdown, that he's quite thick throughout the back, throughout his chest, throughout his shoulders for this weight class. And ultimately he gets on the mic and, does his thing, and I was impressed with him. He did pretty much what I thought he was going to do. I thought Hernandez was going to kind of last till the decision. I didn't think it was going to be a finish, but hats off to him. I got that pick correct. Carlos, what did you think of this fight? And, what do you think of Park in the end?
Well, I picked Hernandez for that reason of I didn't really see anything from Park other than like a couple of short videos of the KOs that he had. But um, you know, he was very impressive in the fact that he looked pretty sharp, knew what he wanted to do, and he came in. And that's the one thing is when you're that big of a favorite, because he was a pretty big favorite in the too. It's like if you're coming in, you got to make short work of these opponents, and that's what he did. When you're that high of a favorite, you got to come in, take the guy out, and have no questions about the decision. He took that out of the judges, finished it himself. He looked good. I liked it.
Yeah, absolutely. And a night full of finishes is, obviously you could make a case for a lot of people getting bonuses. And I thought this one was going to, but boy, was I wrong with the amount of bonuses that could have been given out on this card with the number of finishes. But speaking of finishes that did get a bonus, we had Denise Gomes getting the second round TKO victory, or straight up knockout, to be honest. Reed, first round, she kind of came at her a little bit wild. I thought she was a little bit too. I don't think Reed was cautious enough in the first round to me. I felt like she kind of didn't really have the respect of Gomes. I think Gomes knew that if she landed and touched the chin at what she's capable of. Reed kind of, to me, came in a little bit too aggressive. I think that she should have been a little bit more measured. Gomes obviously looks to implement a little bit of her wrestling, like I said in the breakdown. That I think she's trying to show that she's more well-rounded fighter. She even said that on the mic afterwards. But second round, I think it was a right hand she landed, stumbled Reed up against the fence, and she had a couple of follow-up shots. And as she was kind of falling, she managed to clock her again in the head. She pretty much fell, like pretty much face first, had a nice old bruise, a lot of bleeding from her nose, nice old welt on her side of her eye. And yeah, Gomes looking good. I thought that she'd get the finish in this one, and obviously she got that 50K bonus. So hats off to her for that money, and training's coming along nice over there with Jessica Andrade and Carla Rosa. So hats off to her. She was one of our confident picks this week, and she looked good doing it. So hats off to her. Carlos, what did you think of the performance, and what did you think about Reed's sort of game plan coming into this one?
Well, from what it looked like, she had no game plan. She just came in and fought exactly the way she normally would. Like she kept her hands pretty low, and she just kind of trots around the ring, which is perfect because that means she's not going to move, and it leaves the openings that oh my goodness, why am I Denise Gomez needs. Gomez did exactly what we thought she was going to do. What I would love to see a little bit more, and I'm sure it'll happen in the fights to come, is the fact that when Amanda Nunes was coming up and her power was a problem for people, she did use to loop a lot. And not everything was, you knew exactly was going to connect. But as she got a little bit more or better training and more experience, the strikes came out a lot sharper and a lot smoother and a little straighter. So I'm hoping to see that from Gomes, and I feel like that's going to happen, and she's going to be a big problem in the division.
Yeah, I agree. 5-2 now in the UFC. I'd like to see her get a good test now. And that's probably one of my biggest knocks on Reed, I think, sometimes. As she comes out, she feels herself a little bit too much, I think. And she gets a little bit, I don't want to say arrogant, but it almost appears that way. And one thing you know about Denise Gomes is she has hammers in her fists. So she put them to good use on Reed's face this week and got that TKO 50K bonus. And somebody who was not feeling themselves, Lisboa. I think this one was kind of painful for me to watch, but it's tough. 34 years old, coming off of a long layoff due to a knee surgery is never a recipe for success. And I don't know why. I don't know why I picked Lisboa. I was kind of annoyed at myself afterwards. I kind of should have seen this one coming a little bit. I know we both picked Lisboa, but obviously the takedowns were there. Round one, Santos was able to get the takedowns with that judo base. She got the trip. Got into pretty much a dominant position in the first round and kept that going for the whole first round. Won the first round very clearly based on control time. She didn't land a whole lot of damage in the first. Second round comes out. I think it was within the first sort of minute of the fight. Santos gets another takedown, and I think that's when we all knew for the Lisboa bettors, for the Lisboa picks, we all knew it was over there. She wasn't able to defend the takedowns, and I think we both said that in the breakdown, really, that if she can keep this one on the feet, she's definitely the better striker, but she wasn't able to do so. Santos was able to come out and ultimately get the, I think it was the key lock finish, right? The Americana or the key lock there, finish there. Which I was surprised they said it was the first key lock finish in women's MMA history. Didn't get a bonus, though. So making history, but not getting bonuses. But that's how it is. But maybe in the next one, Santos runs around the cage screaming afterwards. That was kind of annoying, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, back to the drawing board for Lisboa. Obviously, that layoff and that knee injuries obviously set her back a little bit. Needs to probably not able to work on the wrestling. I think that was the ultimate problem there with that knee injury at Costa. But yeah, Carlos, what did you think of the fight?
Well, we couldn't have been any more wrong about Lisboa being a bull, but she usually is, and none of that came out in this fight. Like she came forward, but she was ineffective, and you know, it is what it is. I didn't expect her to get controlled that easy. She's usually pretty smart, and throwing kicks against someone who can't wait to take you down and control you. Not the brightest bulb in the box, I guess, that day. But yeah, what is this young Santos? She had one hell of a game plan, was able to control her, and wasn't a fun fight, but she got the job done for herself, and that's what she needed. So um, let's see what's next for her. Who knows?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said we couldn't have been more wrong. But Lisboa definitely came out looking like bull, but she didn't come out looking like the bull. She came out looking like bullshit. So hopefully she can come back better, bounce back on this one. But at 34 years old, it's pretty difficult to come back after. It's pretty difficult to come back and look good at 34 after that knee injury. But Santos screaming afterwards really pissed me off. I don't know why. It was just a little bit. It was kind of like I can't believe I'm going to get a new contract because I beat up a 34-year-old coming off a knee injury. Woo! Like, act like you've done it before, goddammit. But next up, we had, I'm going to butcher this guy's name, but DelValle taking on Conor Mathews. And I've been waiting to say this to Carlos for a while now. We've been going back and forth about the whole Boston and Knicks series and the Boston Celtics being out. But come on, man. Massachusetts, New England, all you guys over there, it's not looking good for you guys recently. The Boston Celtics are out in the playoffs. Conor Mathews loses. The New England cartel, it's not looking good, man. DelValle was able to come out. He was able to land, kind of tap at the low kick, get the takedown, and ultimately flatten Conor Mathews out and get the submission. And I didn't really look too much into this one, to be honest with you. I think DelValle did what he was supposed to do, so I can't really fault him in any way, shape, or form. The guy is shredded to the bone. He looks good, but he did what he was supposed to do. Let's give him a real opponent now. Let's give him somebody that we can kind of measure his skill set against. In Conor Mathews, it's just not going to really tell us a whole lot about his skill set and how high level or low level, or if he's UFC level in general. But he did what he was supposed to do, so hats off to him. Carlos, what's going on, man? Talk to me.
I don't know, man. I mean, I can explain the Celtics because of Tatum, you know what I mean? And even then, I had a lot of faith in Brown to pull it out. But yeah, when it comes to the cartel, I like the guys. I like what they're doing. I just think that sometimes, like, if something's not working, you gotta figure out how am I going to fix this. And right now, I just think, yes, they're very technical. They're starting to be very technical guys. But the problem is I think the aggression's gone. And with all the technical ways of fighting that you have, you got to remember that the passion of the sport is, hey, you know what? I do like to get into a fight. I do like to get into a brawl. And number one, I do like to hurt people. And I think that's the part that is being lost right now, because there was absolutely no aggression from Mathews, and all the aggression came from DelValle, and he just wanted it more, and he just imposed himself. Conor Mathews has the ability to impose himself. Whether he wins or not doing it, I don't know. But he has the ability to do it, just like DelValle does. The problem is DelValle had that ability and he capitalized on it. So, man, I'm not gonna hate on the cartel guys. I think there's gonna be a swing. There's gonna be a turnaround at some point. But as of right now, them and the Celtics, they're hurting.
Let me get a Knicks in 6 in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. Knicks in 6.
Fuck you.
And somebody that did say fuck you at the weekend, we had probably, I think this was the biggest shock on the card to me. I was expecting this to be back and forth. I was expecting kind of each guy to have their moments. But Jared Gordon came out. He got the takedown pretty easy. Moisés, after about a minute 30, was able to get back to his feet. And boy, did he probably wish it stayed on the ground, because Jared Gordon landed a counter right hand that put Moisés out. It didn't take much, not really necessarily a big follow-up shot needed. And another one, I got to say, man, I thought this one was going to get a bonus. It didn't get a bonus either, which really surprised me. No bonus here for Jared Gordon. I thought this was probably one of the best knockouts, or one of the best finishes on the card. First round knockout for Jared Gordon. Hats off to him, man. And Moisés, like Carlos and I talked about in the full card breakdown, man, we both picked Moisés, but he's like a seesaw, man. You never know where he's going up or he's coming down. He's just so inconsistent. He looks good 1 minute, the next minute he's, flat on his ass, looking up at the cage, and having Chris Tione wake him up. So, I don't know what to say about Moisés. I think he's got all the skills needed, but he just got to put it all together. But hats off to Jared Gordon, man. I think you got screwed with the bonus. But Carlos, what did you think of the knockout?
Yeah, I assumed he would probably get a bonus for that. But when it came to the Moises pick, like I don't remember. Did you pick Moises too or no?
I did, yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I picked him, but I remember saying like I picked him, but I don't feel confident about it. And it's because Jared Gordon could do something like this. Now, I didn't expect him to put him out like that, but what I did expect him to do was, be a little smart about his striking, pick him apart, and he has good takedown defense, keep it on the feet, and if anything, get a decision. I did not expect him to put a shot on him and just drop him like that. And Moises, as talented as he is, and I just don't understand like how the mental breakdowns happen like that. But you know, uh, good job, Jared Gordon and Moises. I mean, it's back to the drawing board, but you've been back there a couple times, so you got to figure something out.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got
yeah,
all that ability. You got to put it together.
yeah. Amen. And next up, we had Matheus taking on Gabe Green, and I gotta say, I was happy to get the pick right here for Gabe Green, but in my defense, I gotta say, I was sweating this one out a little bit. Matheus looked good early round one, was able to land kicks to the body, into the calf. He was able to get Gabe Green in a triangle, and it was as Volkanovski would describe, that was oh shit deep. I thought honestly Gabe Green was going to tap, and I got to be honest as well. I thought Gabe Green's sort of experience and size would play a factor in this fight. I thought he would be able to implement the wrestling a lot easier, but every time Gabe Green got into the clinch, he seemed to be getting out muscled as well. So it just goes to show you people that dropping down and moving weight classes isn't always the answer, but. Green was able to come back. I think that Matheus, I think he kind of felt a little bit defeated almost by not getting that triangle. And he was able to reverse position, Green was. He was able to take the back and ultimately find a rear naked choke. And I got to say, 90 to 80% of this fight was pretty much just Camilo was just winning up until the submission. So I kind of feel as though, Matheus Camilo, I think that he kind of looked at it as like, damn, I gave him everything that I had. I thought that I had him out of there, and he almost was kind of a little bit deflated by the fact that he didn't get him out of there with that triangle. And Gabe Green was able to show resilience. He was able to come back after a long layoff and ultimately get the victory. So hats off to him for the comeback submission win. But I got to say, I did, after watching the first round, I did not expect this pick to end up going my way. But Carlos, what did you think of the performance in the fight?
I thought Gabe Green looked great. In the beginning, obviously not. I thought that, although he wasn't getting hurt, like to visibly hurt in a bad way, I was just hoping that, being his UFC debut, he's a young guy. Um, he wasn't going to get tired, or gassed or anything. What I thought happened was when he didn't get that submission, I thought maybe he tired out his legs, maybe he tired out his hands. I don't know, but you got to understand like that submission, the triangle was there, but it wasn't. His head wasn't in that deep all the way because he wasn't even able to pull the back of the head down. He was trying to pull his legs together, and pulling the back of the head is what actually causes the pressure to make that happen, the constriction. But then the other thing was he had the arm bar and he pretty much let it go and he had it at the right point. He just had to keep working that a little bit more. I think maybe he got a little dejected, thought that, discouraged maybe. And after that, everything just swung in the favor of Gabe Green. So it's something young guys have to experience. It happens. Uh, I'm sure Gabe Green's already experienced something like that. We've seen it happen to him in the octagon, especially against some of the other guys that he's fought. And he didn't get the upper hand, but he's back. He's doing his thing now at 55, and that's just a learning experience for Camilo.
Yeah, for sure. I think with Camilo, to be honest with you, I think that he looks like he's got all the skills necessary to be inside the UFC. I think, to be honest, that Gabe Green was, I don't want to say lucky, he showed a lot of resilience, but I definitely think that he's got still a lot to prove at 155, but hats off to him for showing that resilience and getting it done. And that brought us to the main card, and we had the fight of the night. We had Juicy J Erosa putting on a show here with Costa. Both guys getting the 50K bonus. This one was very, I don't want to say back and forth. I think Costa definitely won this one. There was no sort of robbery here or, anything out of the ordinary here as far as the scoring was concerned. But Erosa, showing toughness. Third round, he was still walking Costa down, swinging wild, going for the finish. So hats off to him, honestly. But Costa looks fantastic on the feet. He looked very skilled. He was, really in sort of a flow state on the feet. And I think we're going to see a lot from Costa. He's looked improved from fight to fight, 4-fight win streak, very, very active. He looks like he's taking this run of his in the UFC very, very seriously. Still only 28. So enjoy the 50K. They mentioned that he was going to be going on vacation soon with his family. So 50K to boot in a 3-round war. Best fight on the card, 100%. Erosa again showing off the toughness, so I'm happy that he got something for that performance as well. But Carlos, what did you think of the fight overall, and what do you think of Costa?
I thought Costa did very well in rounds 1 and the beginning of round 2. Midway through round 2, and I thought he lost round 3, but midway through round 2 is where you could see like he wasn't frustrated. He was just, I think, a little tired and of always having someone stalking him. And I think this is just another one of those learning curves that he's going to get over, and maybe he'll come back better next time, because when it came time to fight in a phone booth, he was struggling to keep the guy off of him, because someone like Erosa, if you can't stick him with something hard, like he's going to keep coming and he's going to keep coming. And that's just something that, it's good to have experienced it, I think. And, as tired as Melky looked in this fight, I think the next time he fights someone that's just stalking him and eating his shots, he's going to be a little bit more patient, and he's not going to throw as much, and he's going to move his feet more, because those are the things that he was lacking in this one. Because what he was doing was trying to get him out of there, try to throw a little more, staying in one spot flat-footed. When you're fighting somebody like that, after you throw a couple of hard shots, you got to pop shot and move, and don't let the pressure get to you. Just because he's in front of you doesn't mean you got to throw, because that's going to get you tired. And that's what Erosa was trying to force him to do, and get into that dogfight. Luckily, he was able. The last round, he was in that dogfight. He was tired. He was standing there, and he was eating shots too. But luckily, Erosa didn't have big pop on it, and Melky was able to get the decision.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this one, and I was a little bit worried the way that, your classic commentary in the UFC where, like, the third round is Erosa's doing well, and like they start to put it in the people at home's head, like this Erosa could be 2 rounds, and I'm sitting there like, no, like Costa definitely won the first 2 rounds. They show the stats at the bottom. Erosa in the second rounds landed a couple more significant strikes, but Costa's pretty much been touching him up the whole round. It's one of those, and I was looking at it like, no, Costa definitely won this, but they made me kind of second guess. But ultimately, from a neutral perspective, great fight. Enjoy the money. And next up, we had Dustin Stoltzfus taking on Nazilton Ruziboev. And I got to say, I was a little bit disappointed with this one from Ruziboev. I know that Dustin Stoltzfus is tough, but I feel like if he's going to be anybody in the division, this is somebody he should be finishing, I do think Stoltzfus is tough. He does have power. He does have wrestling. But this was kind of a back-and-forth fight. Stoltzfus was able to get the takedowns and control. He didn't necessarily do a whole lot of damage with it, but he had moments, And the thing with Ruziboev is he's one shot at a time. Those one shots are nukes, spinning back kicks, big overhand rights, big counter right hands. So they are one shot at a time, and they are big and, very powerful. And obviously he did hurt Stoltzfus. He really damaged the nose in round 2. But that moving forward against higher level guys, 6'5" for the division, you see the guys, coming over from, Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, things like that. You kind of see these guys and think, oh, these guys are going to be a problem. But I don't know. I'm not necessarily sold on Ruziboev. He was able to get it done as our second leg of our confident parlay this week. So hats off to all of my degenerate gang in the best bets video. We made some money this week for sure. But I got to say, this one was a little bit sweaty. It was a little bit closer than I expected. And a call out of Bo Nickel from Ruziboev at the end there. Interesting to see if the UFC decides to do that matchup. But Carlos, what did you think of the fight? What did you think overall of the performance here by Ruziboev?
Well, if oh my goodness, why am I forgetting his name right now? The Ruziboev, if he can't keep off the ground and he's fighting Stoltzfus, I'm like, it's going to be really hard to keep Nickel off here. And, you're just going to hope that when you get back to the feet that all that wrestling has made him tired. So it's kind of a weird call out that he made, but it's a big name for him. He'd like to move up, so I get that. The other thing I don't understand is this fight took place at 185, and I've seen him fight a lot at 70 actually. So I was wondering like which weight class he likes or prefers better, and which one he's going to make it, because I think he can make a little bit more of a name for himself at 85, but I think at 85 he's not the big, you know, blitzing striker that I would assume he would be, because he was landing, he just wasn't putting him out. He actually landed I think it was a wheel kick,
Yeah, yeah.
to Stoltzfus, and the heel landed right on the temple. Yes, it glanced his hand first, but landed right on the temple, and Stoltzfus stayed in there. And I know Stoltzfus is a tough guy. He's got a lot of skill. He's talented, and he's strong. He's physically very strong. And I was thinking if he can get this fight to the ground, he can have the upper hand. And on the ground is where he did have the upper hand. But this fight took place mainly on the feet, and I just see like Nurzulton throwing a lot of punches and kicks and everything, but I don't see him being as effective at 85. Maybe that's something he's got to think about, because at that height, dropping the weight to get to 70, maybe it's not something that he'd like to do for the rest of his career. And if that's the case, you're going to have to find a different fight style. You can't come forward on people like that and think that every shot's going to put him out, because you obviously can't put out Stoltzfus. Stoltzfus is not a bum. And those guys just get better the higher you go. So I don't know. I'm not sold that he's going to be great, but he did give a good performance.
Yeah, well said. Well said. And that brought us to Mairon Santos getting the victory here over Yusuff. And I got to say, this one kind of, I guess, I don't know if maybe I'm a hater, guys. I don't know. Carlos says I'm a hater. Maybe I'm a hater, right? I was just kind of a bit peed off with this performance because of the fact that Santos obviously coming off of that robbery decision that he got gifted in his last fight against Marshall. Francis Marshall. I was kind of expecting him to come in here and make a statement, and he just didn't wow me. And then afterwards, he gets all sort of like emotional, and he's like extremely happy. Obviously, he did what he was supposed to do. He got the win, not taking anything away from the fact that a win's a win. He definitely won the fight, but I don't know. I just feel like when fighters get very, very overly dramatic after a victory that's not that impressive, especially coming off of a robbery decision in the UFC, I look at it as, they're looking for people to make as their next star, to push for title challenges, that you can't be happy with that performance. You didn't get a finish of a guy that's coming off of a layoff. You wanted to make a statement after your last bad performance, and he's kind of happy with that fight. I don't know. That's just my take on it. At the end of the day, me not being a hater, sipping on my haterade, I felt like he did what he was supposed to do. Clear victory here, outpointing Yusuff, landing some nice elbows, some nice shots in the clinch, mixing in a little bit of dirty boxing. And ultimately, he came in, he had that Muay Thai style, and he got the victory. And Yusuff just looked like I don't know, his head was in the backstage, like it never got to the cage. He didn't look like he was there mentally, but Santos getting the victory there. Carlos, what did you think of the fight overall?
I think we talked about it, and I said I don't mind it, because Marion, he played safe. You know what I mean? He didn't throw 100% on every shot. They came out quick. They came out sharp. And his takedown defense was, I can't say it was great, because Sodiq only went for a couple of takedowns in each round. I thought he should have implemented a little bit more wrestling, to be honest with you, and tried to get. I think that was a great fight to follow, was Francis Marshall, and maybe Santos knew that, and he decided that, I'm going to put a little extra work on this for this camp too. Who knows? But he, he had strong hips, good takedown defense. His punches were sharp. They were quick, and not only did he outquick Sodiq, Sodiq acted like if he was able to throw and land, that he couldn't hurt Santos. Like, he's built like an animal for 145. Get in there and throw. You know what I mean? Yes, you can get caught, but his defense was high. He was doing fine, and then all of a sudden he just stopped coming after him. And that's just something like that would be, to me, the reverse. That seemed like Sodiq was the newcomer to the UFC, and he was being tentative, whereas Santos was being a little bit more aggressive. And it was weird to see that from Sodiq Yusuff, because he's usually a guy that likes to impose himself on you. But good job to Santos and Sodiq. You got to get on the ball and you got to start putting guys out if you want to get up, move up in that division.
Yep, for sure. And I wanted to throw this one in, ladies and gentlemen, for those that missed it. We got Patchy Mix now joining the UFC. The broadcast, was talking about that. They had a little segment there for Patchy Mix. And for those that aren't familiar, 21-1 over in Bellator. I believe he's still the current Bellator champion, obviously, for the Bellator MMA promotion. Obviously fizzled out. They took over with the PFL. The guy is a fantastic jiu-jitsu wizard. The guy is very, very impressive, I do have to say. He is fighting Mario Batista, so I'm happy about that one. For those that know about the Ground and Pound podcast, they know my absolute despise for Mario Batista's win over Jose Aldo. Victory in Aldo's book, but didn't go down that way for him. But we get revenge with Patchy Mix. I think Patchy Mix comes in and gets the takedowns. I think he gets the submission here on Batista when that fight takes place. And I'm excited. I've been saying for a long time, which is why I wanted to add this in, that Patchy Mix is definitely UFC level. I want to see how he does inside the UFC. I think that it was a waste for him over in Bellator. And I actually saw something a couple of months back that said about he was complaining about how the PFL hasn't gotten many fights, and he's not fought in such a long time, and he's in his prime and all this. And he's also I think he's the fiance or the husband of Tainara Suarez, obviously, who's in the UFC. So affiliate link there. And like I said, the guy's very talented. It'll be interesting to see what he does inside the UFC, and I can't wait for him to sleep Mario Batista. But Carlos, what do you think of the signing for the UFC?
Obviously, it's a big name for the UFC to get to. Like, yes, he's someone that if you're not like a hardcore, you wouldn't know if you don't check out his Bellator fights. But for the PFL to hold on to that contract for what was it, over a year, and not keep him active when he's pretty much in the prime of his career, should be fighting all the time and getting as much, moving up the ranks as fast as he can. I thought that was. Pretty much I thought that was bullshit. And I'm glad that he's out of that contract. He's got the UFC. I'd like to see what he looks like out there. And Mario Batista is a good first fight because I think that he's at that level. And I think that if anyone's going to give you some problems is Batista, because he's he likes to keep the fight boring if he can, and make it his type of fight. And he likes to use a lot of grappling if he can, and Mix, that's his bread and butter. And I'd like to see how he performs against him in that one. And on the feet, Mix is pretty decent as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I see a lot of upside to this guy.
Yeah, for sure. And next up, we had the fight that wasn't. We had Paul Craig and Bellato. Unfortunately, the fight getting canceled. Bellato, well, I mean, obviously, as everybody knows, dog of the week was Paul Craig this week, my favorite betting underdog. We didn't get to see him perform. I know that the bottom left of the screen, you can see there the angry gentleman screaming at the television. That was me this week when I found out that this fight was off. 20 minutes before the fight was meant to be taking place, Bellato had to pull out of the fight due to him having herpes, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't really know what to say. All I can really say is like, get your shit together, Bellato. You can run, but you can't hide. My dog of the week is coming. The fight's been rescheduled, and the Scottish warrior with the face paint is coming to put you in a triangle, baby. You are going to sleep. That is all that you need to know. I don't care where you fight, where it is, Scotland, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan. It doesn't matter. Paul Craig is going to choke you out, and he would have been the dog of the week. I didn't put together a big-ass highlight reel for you to call out 20 minutes, call off the fight for 20 minutes with herpes. So I had to get that off my chest. Very, very frustrating this week. I honestly felt like Paul Craig was the one. I thought he was going to get it done, and I don't understand how 20 minutes beforehand you find this out and end up, having the fight called off. Surely that the medical would have picked this up, ahead of time. Obviously, we can only go off of what they say. They said it was due to herpes, but yes, I am going to mark you for being a fucking pussy and calling off the fight 20 minutes before just because you don't want to face off against my dog of the week in Paul Craig. Carlos, what's your take on this, man?
Well, if I'm Paul Craig and I hear that someone's got herpes, and they didn't call it off, I'd probably be probably just as upset as you are right now for them calling it off. Because if I ended up getting it at the end of the fight, I'd be bullshit. But to be honest with you, like I get it. You know, you like Paul Craig, that's great. I could see where this could be a very winnable fight for Paul Craig because, like we stated, Bellato, yes, he's very physical on the feet, and Paul Craig isn't. But also, he's also very clumsy when he gets a little fatigued, and I could see him falling into a submission or following like Paul Craig to the ground after he hurts him. And falling into a triangle or something because that's what Paul Craig does. He just suckers you into the ground sometimes. Um, Maybe it was just delaying the inevitable. Who knows? Maybe in the fight he's going to get choked out in some way. I'm not sure, but for some reason I just feel like Bellato was going to fight smart enough where if he knocks him down with the right hand, he's going to get up. He's not going to follow him to the ground. He's going to let him get back to his feet, and he's going to beat him up there because it's the most advantageous, place for him to get the victory. Um, Yeah, I mean, I'm not upset about this fight. It didn't really matter to me. I know he's your dog of the week. Woo, woo. I get it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I was just disappointed with this one. I was looking forward to this fight overall on a card that was full of favorites. I was looking forward to cashing this one for the degenerates, for the Ground and Pound podcast, for the dog of the week to make it 2 in a row plus 400. But it is what it is, man. And in all seriousness, one thing I will say is obviously I want Bellato to clear it up. If anybody does have serious health issues, obviously we found out it's herpes is not the most serious thing in the world. I wish people a speedy recovery. And one thing I will say is I'm going to bow my head and we're going to say a little prayer for Bellato here. And we're going to say, Dear Heavenly Father, we wish Bellato to a speedy recovery and we wish him all the best. Amen. See, I'm not a hater, Carlos.
And stop being such a hoa.
Indeed. Get off Dana's dick. But one guy that I will say is probably getting Dana White a little bit aroused is Michael Morales. This guy's putting on a performance, looking zesty with the haircut, looking real light-skinned, but he's doing things in a mean manner, putting out Gilbert Burns in the first round, right hook. And I got to say, man, I looked at these odds when we first were looking at this fight card, and I was like, Gilbert Burns, plus 500, plus 600. I'm like, what? I thought this was going to be a back and forth fight. I thought it was going to go 3 or 4 rounds at least. And Michael Morales came out and showed why he was a big favorite in this fight card. But hats off to him. He did what he was supposed to do. I think the guy's impressive. I said to Carlos, I'd like to see him maybe against Ian Gary, Carlos Prates, Shavkat. I'd like to see some of those matchups in the division. Hands look good. Takedown defense was good. He got right back up. Gilbert Burns, man. It sucks, man, because I like Gilbert Burns. Big fan of Gilbert Burns. I just think he's past it now. He's starting to really show that the wear and tear of the sport, 38 years old. He's starting to look the age. I said to Carlos, Father Time is undefeated, unfortunately, but 50K bonus for Michael Morales for that first round finish. I still think Jared Gordon should have got the 50K bonus, but he did what he was supposed to do. Hats off to Morales. He's looking like a real promising contender here in the welterweight division. So interested to see what's up next for him. And also a cool little segment with his mum with the judo as well. I like that too. Mama's boy. Shout out to all the mothers out there here on the Ground and Pound podcast. Carlos, what did you think of the performance, and what did you think about Gilbert Burns?
I thought the performance was great. When you told me actually what the odds were in favor of, oh boy, I'm having another brain fart here again. Morales, yeah. I was really surprised, but this is how you get it done. You know what I mean? So that if you're gonna have those odds in your favor, you've got to get it done quickly. You've got to dispose of people, and he did that. So that's good. Now you can think about all the great matchups you can make with them. But when we saw Gilbert Burns come out, I'm not trying to insult Gilbert Burns because I like him. I'm a huge fan too. The thing is physically he looked different. His arms looked a little thinner. His shoulders looked a little smaller. Usually he has a pretty thick neck, like a little pit bull, and that was even a little smaller. If you look at the picture you put here next to the very impressive, you got Gilbert Burns there. That doesn't even look like him from behind. His back doesn't look as full. But then you look at Morales, he's got the full muscle bellies. Everything's rounded. Everything's hydrated and ready to go. And it is that case of Father Time. And I hate to say it because Gilbert has given us so many hours of entertainment, but I hated seeing him get hurt like that. I hated seeing him get rocked like that with no ability to come back. And I he did. He threw a couple bombs early, and I think one of them touched Morales and didn't do anything. And that's kind of one of those times where I was like, oh shit, this isn't good. He's just gonna bully him, and unfortunately that happened. But good job, Morales. I can't wait to see what this kid does next. And Gilbert, they'll find something for you. But I hope to see you fight again.
Yeah, for sure. I will just touch on one thing that I think this is going to be Dana's new, hot topic. I think he's now off of Bellato and he's going to be straight on to Michael Morales. So watch out, Michael Morales. Stay true to who you are, undefeated. I think Dana obviously likes this kid a lot, and hopefully we'll see some promising things from him in the future moving forward. And if you're enjoying the content here on the Ground and Pound podcast, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like and subscribe button for Carlos and I. Obviously, no fight card coming up next week, but we've got some stuff coming for you on the channel, so keep an eye out for that, and you won't miss it if you hit that like and subscribe button. Obviously, you'll hit the bell. That will give you the notification for all the videos coming through to you. But before we wrap things up here, Carlos, is there anything that you want to say to the people?
What I'd like to say to the people in Celtic Nation is we'll be back. We'll be back strong next year. And New England Cartel, you got a little bit to work on. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. And that's all I got for you.
Yep. Yeah, I just want to add one thing as well. Get tested, people. Let Bellato be a lesson to you guys. You could be about to be going into a cage, into one of the biggest fights of your life, and all of a sudden you have to pull out with herpes. Fucking joke. Like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.